is no longer the boss of the city. He is just a figurehead. The city manager runs the city. A non-elected official runs the city.
But he's hired by the council.
He's hired by the council, mostly under the aspects of the
okay, so when you take, we talk about
the mayor influences.
We talk about the way, the thought process that's involved in managing money and how you look after the welfare of your community, whether it's your city or if you apply it to even school board elections, which are also nonpartisan elections. You still have the same process where, where's the money being spent and where's the focus?
Right, and from what that brings to my mind is expectations. What's the expectation for how the tax money's going to be used? What's the expectation for that? Mitt Romney at this point is saying, we're, meaning the Republican Party, going to make sure that every inner city child has good education. Okay, does anybody believe that?
No.
No. So, if the expectation for a particular area of the city is low, and expectation for another part of the city is high, then that thought process that you bring to that table is going to be very, very important.
Well, let me give you the good news on what we have done the last few years in changing to the district system and everything. Average house over in the area where I lived at was around the appraised at around $37,000. I can take you over there now and show you about 40 over $100-some thousand houses. So, in fact, my house is a hurricane house, but it's $113,000 house. But the city got with the government and they built a lot of houses and got rid of the old houses where drug dealers and prostitution were using these abandoned homes, and they had been abandoned for years. Nothing had been put into that part of the city until the citizens organized.
That's my point about expectations.
When we organized and became the homeowners in the area.
So you became we the people. You started pushing the process.
Now we get to the politics. Now we know that politics and money is sister and brother. So the mayor says, well, okay, we know you need this and everything. Help us. So okay, we're willing to help you, because what the city had done to keep any kind of development from going on, that whole side had been designated a historical district. So a business wouldn't even come in there.
That's a trick. That's nothing but a trick.
I mean, our entire deal. Now, when I was a young man, the black economic base was there. We had our own theaters. We had our own drugstores and pool halls and everything in the segregated days. But as those people died out, those buildings were owned by whites. And blacks were just renting them. They just tore them down. And you can go drive through there some areas and for a whole block you don't see nothing. Every business that was a business was torn down.
So, yeah, well, I guess what I'm trying to get on that side of the point is you drove the process. And I guess I'm wondering, Chambers County, you've got any kind of similar issues over there? I mean, how do they do it? And the local government, do you see fair representation based on?
Well, in Winnie, it's,
rural, for one thing.
It's very rural. We're unincorporated. They've fought to keep it unincorporated so you can keep the tax base low, because now we have the hospital district, we have the emergency district, and we have all these different taxes added on, so that it's getting pretty much like the regular taxes. Now, Anahuac, Mont Bellevue, I believe Cove, and they have their local, mayors and all that. But as far as my side of Chambers County, we don't. We do have the 4 county commissioners, and my commissioner, Mark, he's got probably, I would say, a good third of the county under his whole...
Geographically.
Yeah, geographically.
Because it's divided up based on population.
Yeah.
So if you've got a rural area, you can end up with a commissioner with a larger geographic area.
Exactly. And the other 3 are like taking up Anahuac, Mont Bellevue, and part of Baytown. A lot of people don't realize that, of course, the Baytown is in Chambers County. Yeah. So it's like the places with the plants and all the people living around the plants.
You see, at the school board and the city levels, because of the cultural, I guess it's a cultural shift. They create the mindset that this is how it's going to be,
Right.
and people become acceptant of that.
That was my point.
Well, we have the hospital board, which there's a big brouhaha going on now because all the money goes to the west side, which has a really high population, and it's like, okay, they already have really nice hospital over in Anahuac, and they're talking about building another hospital over on the west side. Anahuac is kind of middle, but all we have is the little clinic, and we can't get any money to come into the clinic from the hospital board, and that's the big thing that's going around Chambers right now. But the hospital board is, people talking about the upcoming, school board elections and all that. We never hear when the school board election's coming up, and for me that's pretty bad. It's like you never know. It's like who's running. I don't ever see it in the paper, and I don't know if they're just trying to keep it on the down low to keep it, same people going in or.
We go out we go out on this radio program to Tyler County and Jasper County and all over the Southeast Texas area. And another example of the way things are distributed would be in some of the small towns, like up around Woodville, where we lived 13 miles outside of town. Our kids went to school in Woodville. We lived 4 miles from Spurger, but the way the school district was developed way back when, my kids had to be out at the bus stop at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to school in town. You can take all this discussion, and apply it to that scenario. And I can tell you one thing, kind of on the lighter side of the issue, as far as the people outside of town were concerned, that school district could care less about us.
Well,
even when it came to setting up things, the reason I would say lighter is because even when it came to things like setting up practices or dances or you name it, we were on our own. My son was dropped off at the intersection of Highway 190 and Highway 69 at 11 o'clock at night by his coach, come back from center from a track meet. I called that man up at his house when my son called me. We had payphones then at the station, he and the other boy that lived out by us, and told us that they were there. I called that man up and told him by the time I got to town, he better be at that phone booth with those boys. That's a truck, 18-wheelers, nothing but trucks going through there at night. They could have cared less about us, but they took our money.
Let me tell you about this Orange. City of Orange has over 18,000 people in it. It's the largest city in Orange County. We don't have a high school. Our children are bused to another city to go to school. West Orange is where they go to school.
Right.
Little Cypress, the area that was
unincorporated.
Yeah, what wasn't in the city. They have their own school out there.
And now what have they done with the elementary school, the new elementary school? It's in Pinehurst.
Okay, So they take the elementary school out of the city of Orange and put it in Pinehurst. What's happening is Orange is expanding towards Beaumont. So all the goodies are going that way, suburban, so to speak. Now, as I was saying about over in my area, you know how to create a ghetto real quick with some HUD funds. That's what happened, but it's better than what we had in our community. All the low-cost housing is built by HUD. It's over here on the east side of town where we are. So, if you don't have someone, if you're 36% of the population of a town, and not one person on there that looks like you are looking out for you, then something is wrong. And what was wrong was the at-large system. We never could get anybody elected that even said that they would look out for us, regardless to their nationality. But
you're like the Bermuda Triangle of Orange County over there.
Right. Yeah. But now that it has switched to districts, this person that represents my district, if they don't look out for us, they won't be serving a second term. So you put a little heat on them, so when they're in the back room cutting up the pie, they say, give me some of this pie too for my district, because my job is on the line. Where I didn't have to worry about that, because 3/4 of the city was electing me without the people that I say I represent.
Vicki, tell me it's not that crazy up in Hardin County.
Well, unfortunately, I can't really comment that much on city issues because I live outside the city limits, and so I focus mainly on our county commissioners. And I've been sitting here thinking, when y'all were talking about that, the only growth that I can see going on in our county is Lumberton. Everything, and I don't know the actual numbers. I think I opened up a can of worms when I just called up to the courthouse one day and thought I could get an answer to this question. Can y'all give me a list of the grants that the county has received in the past 2 years? I mean, I'm thinking, a spreadsheet, with information.
A simple Word document.
And you're referring to community development grants.
Things like that. And, well, I had seen where I was looking at
you were actually wanting to know whether or not these grants were coming in and were they fairly applying the grants to grow the
and I thought it was our county government is small and most everybody knows everybody, and I thought it was a legitimate question, but it started a storm of, well, let me give you to this person, well, oh my gosh, well, what do you want that information for, blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of put it on hold. I knew at that moment I needed more information.
That ought to run up a red flag whenever a Democrat's asking for this information and they panic.
I just want to know, because I had seen on the Texas government website where Hardin County had received about $14 billion in the money that came from the stimulus.
Right.
And, and I've looked around, I've driven all over the county at different times, and I'm like, okay, where is it?
What did they do with it?
Where is it? And I was not asking in an accusatory manner, I just wanted to know. I know that, I feel like a lot of it, and I don't want to overstate my knowledge because it is limited, but it was my understanding that the stimulus money that any county or government entity received was for economic growth and to stimulate new job growth and things like that. Okay, that's a lot of money for a county our size. We only have, our population is about 54,000, and